Welcome everyone to our weekly video. You'll be seeing this during the week of November 9th, but I'm here the day before on this gorgeous Sunday morning, and there's not a cloud in the sky. And this week we're going to have our second segment of Amy Collins's discussion about listening. In the first section, I know everyone loved. You're going to love the second one too. But before we get to Amy, I wanted to reintroduce all of you to Lori and Dan Coker. They've been in our parish for many years. And they're always so involved in so many different ministries here. But the one I want them to talk with all of you about this week is our upcoming Giving Tree. So thank you again for always organizing it. But can you share with the parishioners what we're going to do probably this year in terms of pandemic restrictions and stuff like that?
Yes, we have many challenges this year, as you're aware. So we're taking a different approach, and this year we're going to actually go virtual with the tree. We have about 7 organizations that we work with, and again, there's just a great need and outpouring for gifts. So working with some of the ministry team members, specifically Beth Rhea and her son Chris recently designed a digital form. So, and Marianne Musto is going to make a flyer for us. So you'll be seeing a flyer on the St. E's webpage, also on the Facebook page, and it will be pointing to a link. And that link will go to this digital form. And on the digital form, you'll be able to choose a family or a child, or if you want to sponsor a family. We have some families that have told us they'd like to buy a gift from each of them. So if it's a family of 5, they're looking for a family of 5. Okay. So what we'll try to do is we'll give you gift ideas based on the list that we've gotten from the organizations, and you'll be able to choose the type of gift that you would like to give. And then there'll be special instructions as well in the future bulletins on drop-off, because we won't be bringing them to the narthex and placing them under the tree, but we'll be utilizing the garages. So we've come up with some creative ways to be able to still do this ministry this year. And we thank you so much for your year after year, the support that you give all the organizations.
So basically the change is that instead of coming to the narthex and picking the ornament off the tree, which is the way we've always been doing it, we'll go to the website, you'll basically pick your ornament that way.
Right.
But then we will still have the drop off of the physical gifts.
And I should mention, we
that's
also...
great. I mean, that's pretty simple.
Yeah, the other aspect, sorry, I'd be remiss to say this, but for those who perhaps don't have a computer, don't prefer to do it that way, you can still, we're going to have contact information. We created a new St. E's Giving Tree email. So you can call us, we'll have our phone numbers on the flyer, and or you can email us, and we'll give you a selection of gifts that you can choose from. You tell us what you'd like to do, and anything. Or if you'd like to also make a donation, we'll have Venmo. We're going to have a lot of options for people to contribute and be a part of this. And we thank you again.
Yeah,
thank
great.
you very much.
Dan, do you want to add anything? No, she said it all.
You know us a long time.
You trained her well. You trained her very well. Thank you.
I have the gift of gab.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Dan. And thank you all of you parishioners. Every year, I have to say, I'm always blown away when I see the mountain of toys and presents and gifts for these families that are in need. So thank you everyone for participating. There will be more information forthcoming, but we want to at least put it out there for now in case you come to church and say, hey,
where's the tree?
Where's the tree? And now you know where it is. Okay.
And we're starting a little earlier this year too. It's just we want to get the word out. So
awesome. Well, thank you
again.
again. Thank you, Lori, and thank you all of you. God bless. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hello, welcome back. Again, my name is Amy Collins, and I am also a parishioner here at St. Elizabeth's with all of you. I have a background in self-development and mindfulness, and so I am here again for part 2 of what we're talking about is listening. So the first part of the series was about 15 minutes, and I spoke about the 2 voices that we are all susceptible to, right? We all hear 2 different voices. But the main takeaway was that we recognize we have a choice as to which voice to listen to. And That was the challenge. Which voice will we start to listen to? Our voice of judgment, which criticizes us and blames us, or our voice of wisdom, which empowers us and is based on curiosity and compassion, right? And when we start to tune into our own voice of wisdom, we're then better able to empower others by listening to them with no judgment, and also based on curiosity and compassion. So that's the strong foundation we built in part 1 in regards to listening, which, as we also discussed, is a skill. This time for part 2, we're going to be talking about listening to actually what we're saying to other people, right? And then the next session, the last session, will be listening to others. So for today, we're going to talk about listening to what we're actually saying and the messages we're putting out there. So I have my notes, and I'm going to challenge you this time. It'll be to pause and think about what we're saying. How is that a reflection of who we are, and how is what we're saying impacting those around us? So for example, years ago, when my daughters were both in elementary school, every morning we got ready Monday through Friday to go to school. We would leave at about 7:45, and before we left, every morning I seemed to shout out, "Okay, let's go, we need to go," right? And I shouted that out probably 3 or 4 times. "Let's go, we need to go," right? And it was one morning I had a total sense of clarity, and I realized that me shouting that was not helping any of us, right? The girls obviously knew what the goal was, to leave for school at a reasonable time, right? And so me saying that over and over was not benefiting anyone, and it was just kind of exhausting me. And when I really thought about it, I recognized that I would bet my daughters were both actually tuning out what I was saying, and they were probably not listening to what I was shouting out, right? And what do we all want? The absolute opposite. When we speak, we want people to tune in and listen to what we're saying. So what we're saying and how we're saying it makes a big difference. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So anyway, just to wrap up that story, once I realized that, we changed our morning routine, and I simply said to them once they ate breakfast, I said, "Okay, girls, I will be in the car ready to go after you brush your teeth." And I would go out and I would wait in the car, and they would come out. And if they were late, it was on them. And most of the time, I have to tell you, especially after they got a detention once for being late, we were on time. And they tuned in when I said, "I'll meet you in the car." And I said it once, right? So that's just an example of how we can change what we're saying and how it makes a difference and a definite impact on those around us, especially our families. But all right, so that's what we're going to talk about today, building on our foundation for listening by focusing on what we're saying, remembering it reflects who we are, what is the energy we're putting out there, and how is it impacting those around us. So on that note, we are going to do another exercise for today's session. And I'm going to start by explaining, I'm sure everybody is aware of how different brands and companies have their own unique tagline, right? And that tagline is designed specifically to let you know what they can offer you, right? And they offer that tagline to help you feel a certain way, right? So for example, Nike has a tagline, "Just do it." That's been their tagline, I think, for decades, right? I remember in the 1980s, Coca-Cola had a tagline, and it was, the official soft drink of summer. And they had all these images of summer, right? And just this young kid just guzzling down a nice cold Coca-Cola. And taglines change depending on the state of the economy. They change depending on who your audience is, right? So the key is, no matter who they're talking to, they're trying to make sure that their message is clear and concise and it lands correctly, right? And that's what we want to do. So we need to start to think about, what do we say all the time? What would our family members say our tagline is, right? I know to this day, my dad's tagline, who's also a parishioner, my dad's tagline, and I know it, he still uses it with his 4 granddaughters, is listen, learn, get involved, and have fun, right? That is what he says about life. Listen, learn, get involved, and have fun. My mom's tagline, one of them, would be everything in moderation, right? She's also a parishioner. Maybe some of you have heard her say that, but I would say that would be one of her taglines, which she also still uses with her granddaughters, and I've chosen to use with my family as well. So I think it's really important that we start to think about, what is it that we do say all the time? And we start to tune in and listen to ourselves. And in doing this, we can, first of all, like I just said, tune in and listen to ourselves. And or we can also ask those people who are around us most often what they hear us saying all the time. Now, just remember, when you ask someone for feedback or a question, be ready for an honest answer, okay? So do not get upset if you don't like their answer. If they say, "Mom, you're always yelling all the time," or somebody says, "Well, you're complaining about this all the time," or whatever. Because what's key is, no matter what they say, it's up to you, because you have the power to change it if you want. So for example, when I was creating this exercise, I asked my younger daughter, what is something she always hears me say? What is something that she often thinks of me as saying? And without even thinking, she right away said, "We always figure it out." And that's true. That is what I would say is one of my taglines. And I have been very deliberate and aware and intentional of making that my tagline, so to speak, because I want my children to know I'm here for them. And no matter what happens, we can always figure it out, right? So that's been a very clear intention of mine. And that's what we're trying to create for you, right? My older daughter, when I asked her separately, she said, "Oh, one of the things you've always said to me is, what's your best accessory?" And I have often said that to her, and she'll come back and she knows the answer is her smile, right? Because no matter what's going on, that's her best accessory. No matter how she looks, whatever she's wearing, however she feels, that's her best accessory. So that's also something my girls shared with me. And remember, we are in charge of our own tagline. And now that we're becoming more aware of what we're saying, we can either choose to keep that tagline that we're kind of known for in our families, or we can create a new one, right? And be, again, very intentional about when we use it and how it flows. It has to be who we are. It has to be genuine and just come from our hearts, come from within. It has to be who we are. So that is the summation of this lesson. We are challenging ourselves to become more aware and listen to what we're actually saying and what we're putting out in this world. And as you're doing that, I would challenge you to ask yourself these questions. Who are you in this world, and who do you aspire to be? How do you want to relay that? And how do you want people to feel when they're with you and after you're gone, after you've left the room? So think about those questions as you're thinking about, creating your own tagline. And remember, again, it needs to come from within. It needs to be an example of who you are at your core and what you want to share with others. So that is the challenge this week. I look forward to speaking with you next session about listening to others, and we'll go from there. Take good care. Enjoy the day.